right? So like I'm African, and I didn't know that there was a separate black when you come here until I got here. And then, like there's a which also brought up the question like, what does it mean to be black in America? And the different things you face as the different upbringing. Like I know, like you're more from Miami. I think Jamaican.
Jamaican.
So yeah, Jamaican. He's Haitian. And then you're pure black.
Just black.
Yeah, so you're African American. You know what I mean?
Straight up black.
So exactly. So that's what the conversation is. It's kind of like, what does it mean as a man who's of this melanated skin to be black in America?
Besides skin coloration.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Right.
In America, I would say basically being like at a disadvantage than
That's a deep word.
Yeah.
But it makes
the
a lot of
average
sense.
person, per se. Because obviously we got like non-spoken disadvantages towards us.
I think from my perspective, to be black, if I could sum it up in one word, would be or one phrase I would say is unequal opportunities. You don't have the same opportunities as others. The opportunities are there. One guy may get 3 opportunities to get the same goal versus we may get 1 or 2. So you have to really capitalize on your opportunities and capitalize and execute on them early. Because they may not come back around, or you may not get as many opportunities as other people. That's the phrase that I would coin to be through my black experiences, that I felt like my opportunities were not as easily accessible as other opportunities.
When you say not easily acceptable, what do you mean in a sense?
We could go back into a little bit of history. If you're trying to get a home loan, if you're trying to get a bank loan, if you're trying to get whatever it may be, you may have to go through more hoops to get the same loan that everybody else is trying to get to live in the same neighborhoods, the better neighborhoods, right? So you're not given the same ease of access to better education for your kids or better living conditions for your kids or whatever it may be, and they make those challenges more strenuous for us. So
you say that, but like you're in a good spot, right? With like you just moved to a new house. Mm-hmm. Was that kind of the challenges you had to face? Like also being an educator, like do you see that with the kids as well?
Well, you said with me personally first.
Yeah.
When it comes to
it's a 2-part question.
For me, when it came to buying a house, it was big because I feel like that was like a stepping stone for me, like a huge stepping stone, because I kind of had to do it just like you said, on my own type of deal, me and my wife, of course. It was not like, oh, here's an inheritance. Here's help from, mom and dad.
Grandma, you gotta get it.
Grandpa's, and grandpa's, emergency fund or something like that.
Right.
No. It was, I had to grind, me and my wife. It was all on us. Like, so it's just, it gets to the point where, for me, I'm just like, okay, I'm up to the challenge. It is what it is. We don't have that head start, so I just gotta kind of get it. I gotta get it, and and it is what it is, which is not right. But I don't seeing my kids. Moving to the next part, seeing my kids as what I'm talking about is my high schoolers and whatnot. I know that they're at a disadvantage. So to be honest with you, when stuff like that comes up in terms of race, and I see one kid kind of get more leeway than the next kid, or I say the hood kid, I'm honest with them. I tell them, I said, look, it's gonna be that way. What you gonna do? You gonna get mad? So they expect you to get mad, right? They they expect you to act like the way you're acting right now.
And it's gonna deter you away from what you really want.
Exactly. And it's just going to pull you from your real goal.
Right.
So I always tell them, what's your goal? Why are you here? Why are you doing this? Especially my athletes. What you here for? Coach, I want to get a scholarship. So why are you worried about what he just said? Is he going to be the reason why you going to not get a scholarship? Nah, Coach. All right, well, just do what he just told you to do and get back over there and get the job done. Because you have a goal in mind.
So how do y'all feel about if you were applying for a job and your counterpart that was also applying for the job doesn't look like you, and they hired you to fill in the status role of the demographic? We hired you because we need to meet our diversity quota and meet our demographic standards to say that we are a diverse company. How would you take that role? Knowing that from the beginning, would you take that?
Let me get on this. Hold that question. That's how you get the. You see that Sesame Street episode of the guy that tried to sell an 8 to Ernie?
I don't know what he's talking about.
So there's a Sesame Street episode, like legit Sesame Street episode. Some guy just walk up. Ernie is just standing there, and he walk up. He's like, and he's like, what my shoes? He's like, what am I shoes for? He's like, I got something you want to buy that make you happy. He's like, what? And he's like, I got an 8. He's selling him an 8. Now, if you know,
number 8.
he's selling him the number 8. But in the drug society, he's selling an 8.
He's an 8 ball. 8 ball of crack, man. I know you didn't make the connection.
So that's yeah, I will take that position, and that would be me. I would be because like,
but you would be considered an Uncle Tom or a sellout.
But that's
to
true.
your community.
So I've actually been in that position.
So you've been an Uncle Tom.
I've been Uncle Jesse. Because
here's my thing. Before you say that, do you know where the term Uncle Tom came from?
Enlighten us.
All right, so we talking about Uncle Tom here. At first, Uncle Tom was actually considered a good thing for a black man to be, because it was Uncle Tom was a guy that he was a servant that was a good guy. He did everything right. Of course, he was still below white folks, but they loved Uncle Tom because they could relate to him. Uncle Tom was a great guy, right? He does this, he does that.
As a house servant?
Yes. So he was a good black person. You see what I'm saying? He was a good black person. So white folks was like, man, Uncle Tom is a cool guy, right? So it was somebody that they could relate to. But for black folks, they're like, no, the reason they could relate to him is because he's a sellout. That's where the term Uncle Tom turned from a good thing into a bad thing.
It's still a bad thing from the get-go and from what you just described. You a good house servant.
No. It's still a servant.
It wasn't that. It was the term as in, okay, he's a black guy that I can hang out and relate to. Like he's not what I thought they were.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
He's one of us. Right? He's one of us. Uncle Tom is one of us. Like he's a cool dude. Right? When you with white folks and they
so you're saying it was more of a crab in the bucket type deal. I'm trying to get understanding
when it comes to
the term
Uncle Tom. Yes, because Uncle Tom was liked. You see what I'm saying? White folk like Uncle Tom. You know, so it's just like, man, I like that dude. And all white folks are saying it. So black folks is looking at him like, they like you because you a sellout. But really and truly, they just liked him. You see what I'm saying? They just like that guy. Yeah. So it comes from, now you're Uncle Tom because white folk like you.
Right.
Guess what, Drew? If white folks start liking you, I'm going to call you Uncle Tom. Just like you just called him Uncle Tom for taking a good job.
Even though I took that job,
yes,
I would still make sure, like, and now it's like taking on a responsibility, like, no, hey, bringing in your culture and not like getting absorbed by a culture.
That's beautiful. I think if you can maintain your cultural values in the company within reason, of course, then it's a beautiful transition. It's a beautiful upgrade for the community because now you're learning from different communities. It's the primary climate to be in, right? But if you cannot adapt to their culture without being Uncle Tom, do you lose the community from which you were born from? Do you lose their support because they're saying, well, that's fine. He's a sellout and he's not willing to come back and relate back to us because he got a better opportunity. I feel like that's some of the problems that we're having, that we're all exceptions here around the table. We've all had degrees. We are all well educated. We're all doing pretty independent. We're doing well for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But I have to take the onus on myself to go back and educate my community on dentistry, right? Regardless if they want to hear it or not, for me not to be considered an Uncle Tom. That's the challenges out there that we face. And once we take those jobs, do we still have the onus to go back and pour back into those communities?
You said go back to your community. That wasn't my thought process. My thought process was, now that I'm in this situation, I'm in this position that I'm in now, if I'm in a position where I can help the next guy that's interviewing, that's a brother, and I can say, I have the power to put him on, I think that to me is what is called paying it forward. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm going to look out for that guy because somebody looked out for me. Although it probably wasn't one of me, which is fine.
Yeah.
Okay? He still gave me that opportunity. And I can give that opportunity to someone else that's striving for the same thing. So it's not as much as me going and finding people that, oh, maybe I can give this information to, is I know that guy wants my information.
Yeah.
That's why he's here. So now is it my duty to make sure he's successful at doing what he came here to do.
Yeah.
And I'm here and I know the ropes now. Now it's my turn to put it on him.
Right.
So that's why I think when it comes to calling paying it forward and looking out for the next man, that's my thought process on it. So
when you said with the job opportunity,
right,
we hired you because we needed diversity. That was like are they? Let's say they actually told that person that.
Right.
I feel like that's not good job security. First off, because it makes you seem like you're replaceable. Even though everybody is replaceable, like if you do some best up at the job, you're gonna find somebody else, right? But how they worded it, so like we need more of your kind here, so we're gonna just hire you just because you like that. So I'm like, so my question is, would you actually accept the job if they told you that?
Yeah, that's job security. Like, but you looked at that completely wrong.
I don't know, me.
Well, you're not getting fired for this.
No, listen.
I see what he's saying.
No, I'm saying like if they actually told you, let's say they told you like straight and bold, we hired you because you were black.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Like, you wouldn't have any kind of like.
Bruh, that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
at least they're honest, man.
The reason why I wouldn't, because if Baylor said, Baylor University, hey, it's a Baptist school. We allowed you to come here because you're Baptist, or a Mormon school, Iowa. You go to Iowa. I mean, you go to Utah. You have to meet certain criteria to come and learn at these facilities. Because the way we teach and the way we go about our dogma of teaching, it follows this school of thought. So if it's saying we hired you because you're black, because we want to market to a black crowd, or drawing more blacks, or whatever it may be, I don't find any problem with that. Because at least I know up front why I'm here.
I think it's
I know my objective.
Yeah.
And
I know I'm
that
not
makes
confused. I'm not confused.
Yeah.
I feel like if they told you that up front, that's a leeway, right? Like you know what to expect. But most of the time they don't tell you that up front. And now you actually have to go in there with the mindset to know that where you're being used at and what, like, because there'll be functions that are like, oh hey, come to this function. Just so for the op. Like I kid you not, like they're like, and I told you, like I had to go to like conventions, on some like, all right, I see where this is going. So
I'm gonna go.
Let's make this check. No, really, but you have to as a melanated man, you have to go because you're creating a path for everybody else. So now your job is to make sure that if you're being used, you got to get something for you as well. Like don't walk in the room and be like, all right, I took your photos. Good luck. Like I network. I'm like, okay, hey, I understand this is going on. Show me more about that. I come out of there with more than just what they sent me for. As a man of melanated skin, it's never a secure spot. Like it's like, who do we need to fire? Who's messing up? You messed up twice, Bob. God dog it. You hit a cup. Oh God! I can't believe it. He can't hold his water. You can't hold your water.
You do that. I knew it. What it said. I knew that guy. He just showed that he is an N-word.
Yeah.
He's a bitch.
Yeah.
I knew it was on him.
I knew it. You can't function here, right?
Oh my
He
God.
disagreed with us sternly, but everybody else could disagree and be stern and say and speak their
But you're
piece
over
the
aggressive.
way they want to speak their piece. Exactly. But when you say something and you passionate about something, man,
See,
that dude was.
But
I knew he was.
that
guy,
leads
you know?
to another question though. Is does that affect how you? I don't want to say work, but how you are at work because of you have that mentality.
Yes.
You have this mentality of going into a workplace.
Yes.
Like, what if?
That's
But
what
I mean,
was
for the
thinking
negative
when I
part,
asked him that question.
Because like
Am I gonna be able to perform to my highest abilities at that job, knowing they hired me because I was black?
see,
That's-
that to me it's a very thing. You almost like that's why you almost have to know who you are, right? Because I feel like there are black folks who will go into, and I use the word black folks, but there are melanated folks who will go into work, like, and Susie would be like on some, hey, do you want this watermelon juice? And it could be like that's what she came to work with. But because we have this like
This guard.
this guard, we automatically like, how dare you? So my question is,
offering me watermelon juice.
But see, I think
so does that affect, like, does that having that I guess woke, I hate using that because it's so saturated, but having that mindset, does that affect your work environment?
it shouldn't. It shouldn't. The quality of your work should define the kind of worker you are, right? And then second is you can't be easily offended, regardless on the job or in your social groups. If you're easily offended, people don't want, even your own friends don't want to be around you. You can't take a joke.
Yeah.
So if I'm coming at you on some watermelon juice, kick back at them. Do you put sugar in your lemonade? You know, or if Susie invites me over to her house tonight, are you gonna season the food? You know,
Oh my God.
you can say different things to lighten the mood, and they actually take it very well.
Mm.
They don't get as nearly as offended as we do when they take stabs at us. So I feel like going into a hypersensitive culture, already on edge, you have to go in with a different mindset that nothing is serious. I'm just doing the quality of my work, and I'm leaving. That's it.
That's crazy.
And I think if you hold those values, you can be successful in 90% of those environments. I mean.
What is the solution to how to solve like the issues we brought up? So like workplace environment, community, community dealt out lashes of your actual culture. What are some solutions that we can bring to the table? You know.
I think the biggest one is education. Teaching them, first learning, educating thyself. Learn about thyself first. And be comfortable about self. And then from there, you teach others about yourself. Whether they improve it or not, that's on them. The onus is on them to learn that. But telling them like, hey, me being black, this is all it means. And I come from a different origin. This is how we celebrate. This is how we mourn. This is how we do whatever normal life practices are. This is how we go about it. And I think education is important, whether you pay it forward to the next man come and take your position, or you going back to the hood, like I mentioned earlier. I don't know anybody that would not want a better quality of life. Mm-hmm. So if you can educate them on better quality of living, then I think 90% of people are going to take that. I keep sticking to the rules of 90.
When you say educate them in better quality of life,
right?
What quality of life are you talking about?
So if you go off to school or you're working as the token and they're teaching you all these skills that they have no access to ever learn, you're going back and teaching them IT skills. You're going back and teaching them how to teach their kids how elite schools are teaching kids. You go back and teach that family, this is how you should teach your kid, or photography, or dentistry, whatever it may be. You can go back and teach 4 skills. And given that all our kids are going to be around the same age and we're all going to hang out, they should all know a little piece of each one of our skill sets because we're educating our kids forward. And if we do that as a community, we'll be the gifted individuals that we already are. So I think for me the answer is education. 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 Education.
I think before that, I mean that's a great idea. But I think before that, you were talking about how do we communicate that to a white person, whatever that we work with, which was the original question, is you gotta build a relationship with them first. Before anything, you gotta be able to joke with Bobby and John and Billy before you can educate them like, hey, I'm a black guy, this is what it means, yada yada yada. I don't think they would care until you build a relationship with them first. And you be like, you know what? Uncle Tom is a cool guy. Bringing it back to the Uncle Tom deal, and you know what? Instead of saying Uncle Tom, that Drew guy's pretty cool. I can have a beer with that guy. Right? You know what? Hey Drew, we're gonna have some beers. You wanna come? I'm getting invited, right? I'm in the circle because I built a relationship with them. Now I can educate them and all that black stuff. Because you know what? The first thing that's going to happen is they're going to be like, here goes another black guy trying to tell me his struggle.
And believe it or not, sometimes they be curious too.
They're
So they invite you out. It's eventually going to come up.
Exactly.
It could be a situation that happens. Some black guys might walk by and they be like, they look at you like, how come you don't act like that, Drew?
You know what I'm saying? Because you're a cool guy. You're a cool black guy that I can relate to. Why don't you act like that? And now you're sitting here, now you can educate them on all this stuff. But you have to build that relationship with them first, or it's gonna go over their head.
So, I feel like once we come to that initial finding a way to build a community to where it's like, this is our, because you go to a Jewish community, they have their own community. Asian people do it the best. Like they have their own community no matter where you go. It's having that, and when you say Asian, nobody was like, you mean Vietnamese, you mean Japanese. No, it's like, no, this is an Asian community. So we gotta have that to start as a black community. It's like, this is an African community. That means you're Puerto Rican. It means you're Brazilian. That means you're Caribbean. That means you're Haitian. That means you're Jamaican. Like, welcome. Like, this is our community. Like, let's build it for us. Like, integration with everybody else. That's cool. You could go out. You could go out and do that. But like, this is what we need to build. Yeah. Like, once we come to me, I feel like once we come to that realization, then we can start, like, it's not even building, it's creating a foundation.
I kind of lean towards his with the relationship. I do think education as well, because you have to know what you're doing and like what's going around. But his relationship part, I feel like people have to be willing to listen. So like you said, those crabs in the bucket, they gonna listen. Oh, they ain't got no vision. They're not open minded. So like you can't relate to them. That's the relationship part. If you ain't got that, that's a change that's not gonna happen with them. They not trying to be part of that. So I feel like the relationship part is definitely probably the biggest part to getting somebody to be on board with whatever you trying to do.